All right, what's good, y'all? Welcome back to the Playmakers Corner podcast. This is episode 40, and we got a pair of interviews with the future of Colorado football in two class of 23 quarterbacks in Cole LaCrue from Broomfield and Brayden Dorman, the four-star quarterback from Vista Ridge High School. We hope you enjoy it. They gave a lot of insight. These were recorded a bit ago, just to preface that, but other than Brayden Dorman going from a 3-star to a 4-star, not much has changed. And so there are high expectations for both of these players going into next year, and they are expected to be some of the best quarterbacks, if not the best quarterback or quarterbacks in the state and the country as well. So hope you enjoy, and we'll catch you later.
I'm Cole LaCrue, and this is Playmakers Corner.
Hey y'all, welcome back to the Playmakers Corner podcast. I am one of your hosts, Cody Stoffer, and today we have a very special guest, and if you wouldn't mind introducing yourself, where you're from, and what position you play and what high school you play at.
Yeah, obviously. I'm Cole LaCrue. I play quarterback. I'm a sophomore, and I attend Broomfield High School.
Awesome. Thank you, Cole, for joining us today and setting aside some time for us. So, we always start with, these two questions about sports in general because, as athletes, we're kind of, expected to be involved with sports throughout our lives and, also enjoy them and love them. So I kind of want to get to know what is your favorite sports memory or experience while playing? This could be a specific game, this could be a specific play, or this could be a specific season kind of thing. And this can be any sport too, if you play more than football.
Yeah, so when I think of that, two memories strike my mind. First one for football, I believe is when I was in 5th grade and I won my first championship ever. And it was a cool memory because there was this moment where I scored a touchdown and basically sealed the game. And I, went to the sideline and it was that moment where I finally won that championship. So that was pretty cool. And then for baseball, we won a national championship my 8th grade year, and that was pretty cool to be a part of. And, being a national champion and having that recognition, that's always something really cool to have. So those are probably the two memories that strike me when I think of those, my favorite sports memories of all time. And obviously, if you're a Broncos fan, when we won Super Bowl 50, that was a pretty cool experience too.
Yeah, I was just about to ask what was your favorite sport viewing experience. And, as a Bronco fan as well, Super Bowl 50 is a pretty hard one to beat. Is there any other live events that you saw maybe or, any other games that come to mind as well?
The national championship when Clemson defeated Alabama when Deshaun Watson hit I think it was 10 seconds left. That was a pretty cool thing to watch because, as being a college fan, that was a really cool memory. And then the Villanova game when Villanova beat North Carolina. On the buzzer beater 3, that was a really cool memory.
Yeah, lots of iconic moments this past decade to choose from. I actually remember watching that throw to Hunter Renfrow in my room here, and the touchdown happened, they kicked the PAT, the game ended, I turned it off because it was 11 o'clock at night, and I was like, all right.
Oh, it was a crazy game. It was just back and forth. I think I don't know who the starting quarterback for Alabama was at the time. It might have been Hurts. I don't think so though, but it was crazy to watch because Deshaun took some big hits that game, but he got popped back up every time and just did his thing.
Yeah, absolutely. So, but thank you for sharing those and kind of transitioning to you as an athlete. I want to ask, what was your reaction to my evaluation of your game on that request episode that I did?
It was pretty right. Most of the stuff that I do, I rely on my arm a lot and my athletic ability with my legs. There's one point where you said Big Ben-esque, and I was like, yeah, I don't know if I'm a Big Ben type of guy. I feel like I could do more with my legs, but, the stats don't show it. But, I felt like I was pretty much of a dual threat. I could take off when needed, but, there was some times where I did big gains and then I get called back. So not much I could do there. Just next year I'll improve on those running stats. And hopefully a lot more on my passing.
Yeah, no. And I guess I'll clarify a little bit too. I meant Big Ben-esque in the way that it's really hard to bring you down. And I don't know if you remember this, but back in the day, back in like the mid 2000s, Big Ben could run and score a touchdown or two.
Yeah, he used to be athletic, but now,
I'm not calling you old man Ben. I'd like to clarify that. But,
yeah, you're good.
But yeah, no, I understand, and that's the whole reason of doing this interview is letting you clarify some things, let me clarify some things. But overall, I had a lot of fun watching your tape, and I'm excited for when I get to watch a full season of your tape too.
Yeah, it sucks that we were supposed to have 7 games, but Erie canceled us week 6, which that would have been a homecoming game for me because I transferred from there last year. So I was ready for that game, and then at like 4 o'clock we get the phone call that, hey, Erie's in COVID, so we're done. And at first I was like, dang, like that was a game I really looked forward to. But then it hit me, we were conference champions and we were going to the playoffs. So ultimately it would change my focus to that next week.
Yeah. Absolutely. And Erie's season was very, very short. So, the important thing is you guys got to keep playing. So,
exactly.
So, kind of talking about your inspirations and stuff like that. Who do you model your game after? Like you watch a quarterback either when you were younger or you watch a quarterback now and you're like, that's who I want to play like, or like, and this could be college or pro quarterbacks.
When I was younger, there was, obviously Johnny Manziel. Johnny Manziel's tape, just watching him, that's a highlight reel. Like everything he'd do was, college Johnny. Let's clarify that. Not NFL Johnny. College Johnny was one of the most exciting quarterbacks to watch. And but nowadays, I really like Justin Fields out of Ohio State. Just the way he throws the ball, the way he can escape the pocket, and his athletic ability is something where I see that I have similarities to, in a way. And so that's one of the guys that I can kind of relate to. And then also, Kyler Murray, just the way that guy is the most athletic ability I've ever seen as a quarterback. But, his height ultimately downfalls him, but it shouldn't really matter. That guy's just a star quarterback.
Yeah, all those quarterbacks that you named, including college, Johnny Manziel, were all very electric, big play threats every time. And, I think that's something that you share with them is, you could either huck it down the field or get the yards that you need to get, with that first down capability and just knowing where the chains are and stuff. Simon's going to be kind of sad because he always loves the chance to talk about Kyler Murray. He actually played against Kyler Murray back in high school in Texas. So, yeah. So he's seen it firsthand, and he loves talking about it. And I'm very familiar with Kyler Murray on this podcast as far as it's just like because when you see something up close, you can see like the little snippets throughout. So I have to double back to Simon and see what he thinks about that. But yeah, those are all dynamic quarterbacks and good ones to look up to.
Yeah, I remember watching Kyler play at the Texas game when they played Texas. I was watching then the way that I think they were down by like 14 or something. There's like 3 minutes left. He runs it for 80 yards down the field, and no one even touched him. I'm like, how does that guy do it? But, his game talks for it. So
absolutely. And speaking about, game and kind of things that set you aside from other quarterbacks in the state, what are 2 to 3 things or skills that you do differently or that separate you from the rest of the pack of Colorado quarterbacks?
First off, I hate losing. Like that is, I think you talked about it, and I really liked it, but I put myself as a winner. There's no point in the game where we're out of it, or no point where they're out of it. I'm gonna put them down, and I'm gonna ultimately try and levitate my team up to that win. And I believe I did that this year, even as a sophomore. I took my team and I made our offense something it hasn't been in the past. And my mindset is kind of like how John Elway used to, if you had John Elway as your quarterback, you were never really out of the game. So that's kind of like how I model myself, is that we could be down by 14 with 5 minutes left, and I'm going to try and find a way to, hopefully get us back in and win the game. 2, I think I have the strongest arm in the state, if I'm going to be straight up. The way I throw the ball with my arm, I feel like no one else can. There's ultimately other guys like Brayden Dorman, who I train with for Jenkins. He's a star, but I'm not going to downfall in this game. He's one of the best quarterbacks I've seen firsthand. I just feel like my arm is one of the best in the state. And then ultimately number 3, I think the way my athletic ability can, make some plays that most other guys can't. And baseball helps too, because there's some throws where I've been training this off season where it's moving to my left and throwing sidearm, or it's me making the Zach Wilson pro day throw. It's all those type of throws that I've been training for, because in the game you're not going to get a clean pocket where you're 3-step sitting back there for 10 seconds, then ultimately ripping it. You're ultimately going to have to adapt, and so that's where I think my game is different from most quarterbacks, is that I can adapt and make plays like just happen, and so that's where I think I excel in the state.
Nice. Yeah, and those are all things that, your arm did jump straight off the film for sure. You're able to really rocket it down those sidelines and just down the field in general. And yeah, I'm glad that you brought up. We actually had Brayden Dorman on the show a couple weeks ago, so maybe we could release those interviews pretty close to each other. But we'll be watching you guys for sure for the next few years compete. But kind of talking about, I'll talk about last season a little bit, fill in our listeners. So you already said it. You guys were conference champions, right? I believe you entered the playoffs at 5-1, right?
No, we were 5-0.
5-0.
Yeah, and then we lost to Loveland the first round.
Okay, yeah, I'm not sure where they counted that loss. So 5-0, and so undefeated season. A shortened season, but still an undefeated season. I was a part of undefeated season out of Arapahoe back my junior year, and there's nothing quite like it, where it's like, wow, we really didn't lose a regular season game. So, you got to be ecstatic about that. And then you come into Loveland in the very first round, who eventually wins state at 4A. So, as far as, getting a good look at what a championship team looks like firsthand and seeing an overall just really well-rounded team, you got to see that really early. Loveland, you guys, I think, had a smaller deficit against them, 28-7, than they had in the eventual championship game. So, you have that to kind of bolster your confidence. And, you've seen they faced a lot of good teams. They faced you guys on the way. They faced Dakota Ridge, who we just did a spotlight on recently. Simon did. And, they're always a perennial powerhouse with their defensive style. And, they also faced off against Palmer Ridge, right, who had Luke McAllister, who's at CSU. So you've seen all of this talent firsthand as only a sophomore. You started, I guess, like, how does that last game, that first round playoff exit, impact your focus this offseason? And what lessons did you learn from this last season, watching all of these great teams and seeing what it takes to kind of elevate to that next level?
So being a sophomore last year, I had a ton of seniors. So ultimately, my goal this season is just to be the leader of the team. I'm kind of was handed the keys of the offense, and now I'm gonna, hopefully levitate my team all around and be that kind of older presence, that guy who's been there, and take us to the next level. And because last year most of my team was, we had mostly seniors, I'd say seniors and juniors. And so, being the sophomore quarterback I didn't even start the first game. I got pulled in after 2 drives, and then the rest is history. So I kind of was quiet. I let the other guys talk this year because, I feel like ultimately I gained their respect over the season. But at first, I feel like I had to earn that. And so I was quieter. And so that was something that I'm going to work on. But I'm glad you brought up the Loveland game. So in the Loveland game, I actually got a concussion in the fourth quarter. And at the time, it was a 7-14 game. And so we were actually, in my opinion, we should have won the game. We were driving. It was 7-7. And my running back fumbled the ball at the 5. So that was tough. And then Loveland scored. And then I went on and drove down the field. And if you look at my film, it's kind of, you kind of talked about it. It's like when you're just like running around in the sandbox. So I was making that kind of play, and I got a late hit that didn't get called, and I got a concussion on that play. So I got pulled, and then we ultimately lost the game. And so my focus this year is just, be stronger and be smarter also. Like, I can't take those hits. I got to make sure that doesn't happen. That way I can stay in the game for the whole game and try and do what I do with my my kind of clutch gene, I'd say. And then so I talked to Luke McAllister quite a bit. And so I'm trying to just get in his mind and what a college quarterback is doing, because he has a chance to start at CSU as a freshman, which is nuts. So just see what those kind of workouts are like and see what the college life is. So that's pretty cool. And Dakota Ridge is always tough. They kind of had it out for us this year, because I think we beat them last year for the state semis. So we were ultimately really looking for that matchup this year, but it didn't happen. So hopefully next year we get it.
Yeah, for sure. And I appreciate you sharing that, especially, as a younger guy, it really is hard to, say, like, this is my team. And you said that you were a transfer as well, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So how do you think that impacted? This is a little off script here, but do you think that kind of came into play too, where it's like, okay, I'm at a new school, and kind of what was that transfer process like? Like, did you have to do certain things to be able to play by the fall or something?
So no, I moved from, so my dad and mom were separated, and my mom moved to Broomfield. And so I just decided I was going to go live with her. And so, Chasta said I was eligible. So that was pretty cool. But, being a transfer at a new school with my teammates, at first it was not fun. The first practice I was coming from a baseball game. So I basically showed up in baseball uniform. So I got crap for that. But, then I let my game just do the talking. So that first summer, I was kind of like a quieter kid, and I didn't say much. And it was a weird summer too. We didn't get full workouts. I wasn't able to show what I could do in pads and stuff. So it was a weird thing, a weird year to transfer, I'd say. But I'm lucky that I got my opportunity to shine in the Monarch game, and I just showed to them that, I'm glad I'm here, and I'm glad I can help you guys win. I wasn't even supposed to start, though. Also crazy part, because we had a senior, Zachary Capuchin. He moved to Georgia because he thought we were gonna have a season. So it was me and this really good junior, Bodie Hogan, going against each other. And so it was a good thing that I showed them what I can do, or else I'd probably not be doing this interview right now with you guys.
Yeah, I was about to say, COVID at the same time that it takes away, it kind of gives opportunities to other people, so that quarterback. You said he went to Georgia?
Yeah, he went to Georgia.
Okay, yeah. So, and I've heard lots of stuff about that this year, quarterbacks going over state lines to try and play football, and then Colorado. I coached in the fall for Greeley West, so it's like, we're having a season, we're not having a season, we're having a season. That back and forth was definitely really confusing on Colorado's part. But, at the end of the day, like you said, we get to sit here and chop it up and talk football. So grateful for it, even though it was short, but leads to a lot of opportunities down the road. So including this season and, another one. But so thanks for addressing that transfer thing. I was very curious. And you said Erie too, and they had we did a breakdown on their quarterback who was a freshman this year.
Like that, yeah.
Yeah. Very, very talented team all around too. I coached against them, and Mason Vive, who's going to CSU. So
yeah, it was cool knowing those guys last year. Erie wasn't the place for me.
Yeah.
I didn't really blend in there.
Yeah, you got to do what you got to do, and you got to find your home. But I guess, what are some resources that you're going to be using to improve as a quarterback this offseason? You already talked about Jenkins Elite, I believe, is something that you're doing right now. How's that going, or are there other things that you're also doing at the same time?
Yeah, it's cool. Coach Jenkins is a really good really good QB coach, and he's tuned me up, because last year was technically being my first year playing quarterback, because my whole youth I basically was just put in the spotlight to get the ball. And so last year is where I decided, hey, I'm a quarterback. And so going to him, he's really refined my game. He's made my throws much quicker, which I still need to work on. He's made my footwork 10 times better. Like he teaches me stuff that if I didn't go to him, I still wouldn't know. And he was he's a really cool dude and coach. And then I do 7-on-7 with Performance Empire, which that's kind of a new thing. That's run by two kind of NFL guys with Tanner Gentry and Joe Parker. And so they're cool. But Jenkins ultimately is for me to improve as a quarterback, and so that's something that's really well. Something for resources that I use is Jenkins runs like a scouting program, I'd say, like something so they can push my film out. So that's helped me a lot. And then just having kind of guys write up about me, like Prep Red Zone, and that's really getting my name out there. And so hopefully this upcoming season, I can have a couple offers under my belt. So that's the goal.
Yeah, and I appreciate you sharing that. Especially younger listeners, they're going to be trying to figure out how to do all that stuff too. So thank you for sharing that. And kind of jumping back to the game, you already talked about, and I'm glad that you brought up the footwork thing as something that Jenkins helping you work on, because you said that, you were just getting the ball, and you can kind of see that as like, your running kind of style too. When you're a running quarterback, or super athletic, it's like, well, I'll run and then create my space first. And the footwork is really different as a ball carrier versus a quarterback. So
yeah,
I'm glad you brought that up. But anyways, you already talked about you're going to focus on getting tougher, getting stronger for this upcoming season. But what are some other areas of focus that you're working on this offseason to prepare for next season? And what are some of your goals for this upcoming season?
So first thing that I'm going to work on is making my release quicker. I think if I get my release faster, then that'll heavily improve our quick game and heavily improve the ball getting out of my hands. I'm going to improve on getting faster. That's been my top goal right now, is just getting faster and stronger. So the weight room and then the field work. So that's going to ultimately help out my game this year. And then just being in the film room constantly, watching film 3 to 4 times a day and just seeing what opens up, what's not there, what can we work on. So that's just some of the stuff that I believe I'm going to work on this season. And then my pocket presence, because you made a point about this, okay, and Phil, this year, kind of when I saw pressure, I'd immediately just go to my athletic ability and try and get out of there. But, after watching film in this offseason, there's a couple times where if I didn't tuck it and run and just stepped up in the pocket, I had I think 2 or 3 posts down the field that I could have hit for a touchdown. So just those opportunities I'm going to work on. And then just progressing through my reads is another one where I'm going to go 1 to 2 to 3 to just help improve that. But this year I kind of was going 1 to 2 and then, okay, now let's just figure something out is what I kind of did. So just working on that's going to be really helpful.
Absolutely. So, and it sounds like you're well equipped to do all that. You're talking about getting into the film room, and that's where you make the mental strides, right? Is you see what you need to do in the film room, see what it's supposed to look like, and then, go back to the field and execute it. So you have a good plan for that. And I guess what is your goals for Broomfield High School football this upcoming season, or, even beyond that? What are your goals for high school football?
Ultimately is win a state championship this year. We have a lot of guys returning that saw the field last year. And, I think our offense is going to be really good this year. We're returning basically our whole offense, just a couple key offensive linemen, but we've got younger guys that are going to step in there, hopefully, and do their job. And so I think our offense is going to be really, really good this year. We're returning Josh Dunn, Tristan Cotto, Don Bustamante, and then we have this transfer who wasn't able to play last year, but is a really good receiver, and DJ. And so I think our offense is going to be really, really electric this year, and we have a chance to win state, and hopefully we can do that. And my goals for high school is to get obviously get the ring. But another goal of mine is to, make everyone a better football player with everyone around me. And I kind of want to mentor the younger guys so that way when I'm gone, they can take over and act like nothing happened since I'm not there. And so that's something I'm going to strive to be. And just work on, not work on, but just gaining brothers and family that I can talk to for the rest of my life is something that I think will be really cool that high school football offers.
Yeah, absolutely. And those relationships from football, they're nice to have. And, those are guys that, that'll have your back, right? So that's a good goal that no one else has really brought up, is just focusing on those relationships with other players. So I appreciate you bringing that up. And the rest of those are solid goals. So, and we'll be rooting for you, as well as, just seeing lots of good games. Just want to see improvement. And I think that you have your head in the right direction for that. So now that we're kind of getting towards the end of the interview here, I just want to give you a chance. You've already kind of talked about it a little bit by shouting out Jenkins and, some of your other players as well. But I wanted to just give you a chance for shout outs, whether it's family, friends, coaches, or other players that you haven't had a chance to mention who've been helpful to your athletic or academic career.
First off, my head coach, Blair Hubbard. He really has been very supportive and very good coach for me. He changed his whole playbook just for me, and so he's a really good players coach. And then a shout out to just my parents, my mom for raising me and my brothers now that my dad's gone, and then just a shout out to my dad for everything he taught me from youth up to this point, and just being my number one fan. And just my friends and some of those guys, everyone who's had my back through this time, it's been very helpful, and I'm thankful for all of them. So just a couple of those guys.
Awesome. Yeah, then we just really like to drive in here at Playmakers Corner to utilize your support systems, and it sounds like you have, and that you've had a good support system. So I'm excited for it's nice that the playbook is kind of built around you, and I'm excited to see it expanded too, as you progress as a quarterback and as a player. Well, thank you, Cole, for joining us. Thank you for all those shout outs, and we wish you the best of luck going forward. Not like you need the luck, because you have plenty of skill and plenty of drive to go where you need to go. But that does it for this interview on Playmakers Corner. Be sure to follow us on Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, Facebook even, and check out our YouTube, where we're going to start posting more interviews and stuff like that, and continue listening to our episodes. You can also listen to LaCrue's episode, which was a request episode. I believe that was request part let me double check. Request part 18 for Cole's full breakdown, and just continue following us on anywhere that you listen to podcasts. I've been Cody Stauffer, and peace. Hello, y'all. Welcome back to the Playmakers Corner podcast. I'm one of your hosts, Cody Stauffer, and I'm joined here by Simon and a very special guest. If you'd like to introduce yourself, where you're from, what position you play, and why you're on the show.
Hi, my name's Brayden Dorman. I go to Vista Ridge High School here in Colorado Springs, and these guys were nice enough to allow me to be on their show, so I'm very happy to be here.
Well, thank goodness you got requested and we got to watch your film. That was a lot of fun to watch. But something that we like to do, kind of just to get to know you as like a sports guy and as a football guy, we like to ask these two specific questions where one of them is, what is your favorite sports memory or experience while playing? So this could be, a specific play, it could be a specific game, and it doesn't have to be limited to football, but just like, what is that one play where you think like, oh, like this is why I love to play sports or whatever?
Man. I mean, it's probably my first varsity touchdown. I was against Windsor my first year when I was a freshman. And, it wasn't like the best, prettiest touchdown, but I mean, it's my first varsity touchdown. And for me, it kind of just like gave me some confidence rolling into the next game, because that first game was obviously not my best game. That first year was my first freshman varsity game, so I was kind of nervous and everything. But just getting that one first varsity touchdown kind of gave me that confidence rolling into the next game. So
nice. That's good to hear. And yeah, scoring that first touchdown, there's not a lot of feelings like that. So, And then kind of transitioning just a little bit I'm assuming you're a sports fan to some extent. So what is your favorite sports viewing experience? This could be a game that you went, you got tickets to, you went and watched live and it was really crazy. Or it could be, you were watching at home from the TV and it was still crazy or something like that.
For sure. Probably the LSU and Kentucky game. I can't remember when it was, but it was one of my birthday presents, and we watched it in Death Valley. So, and they back when they had Tyrann Mathieu and all those guys. So it was a lot of fun to watch. And being there as such a young kid, I was like, man, I really want to do this one day. So,
hey, ain't nothing looking like some LSU football to get motivated to go to that next level.
Yeah, for sure.
So, all right, I'm going to pass the torch over here to Simon, who has some questions for you.
Yeah, man. So hope you're doing well. First things first, I gotta give a little shout out here. So I actually am a teacher over at D49. I teach in Falcon actually, and I believe there's a couple of your teammates who went to Falcon Middle School, the school I taught at, and they had my teaching partner. I want to say Justice Lalu. He's one of your linemen, I want to say, and he's out there for sure. And so I just had to give a quick shout out over there. All right.
Yeah.
But all that being said, let's talk about your game. So, and I guess what we talked about specifically. So, what is your reaction to our evaluation of your game? Did you get to listen to that and all that?
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. I know. I really enjoyed watching. I know my dad. Not watching, listening, obviously, but I know my dad listened to it as well. But I think you guys are pretty experienced with what you guys do. So it was nice to kind of get you guys' viewpoint. So, yeah.
Yeah, man. For sure, we appreciate that. We've actually been getting a lot of requests for you since I think our top 5 senior quarterbacks in the state list released, and a lot of them were mentioning your name, even though you were a sophomore and whatnot. But even before then, obviously, I'm around here in the Colorado Springs area, so I've definitely am familiar with your game and have seen a couple of highlights here and there. So yeah, I appreciate that. But so with all that being said, then, who do you model your game after? Is there like a specific athlete or quarterback that you really look up to and are like, man, that's kind of like the style I'm aiming to go to? Obviously, you want to be your own man, your own person, your own player. But is there any quarterback or quarterbacks who you feel like you really try to model your game after?
Yeah, there's a lot. Trevor Lawrence is one. I feel like my build is kind of like a Trevor Lawrence. I kind of just feel like I play like him the most. But some other quarterbacks that I kind of aspire to be like, obviously every quarterback wants to be like Tom Brady. I mean, the greatest quarterback of all time. But for me, I think Aaron Rodgers is probably my favorite quarterback in the NFL as of right now. I just love his style of play, being able to like make plays off platform, making every single throw. So for me, that's just like really important, and I really like Aaron Rodgers' game style. So.
All right, interesting. I don't know if we actually said this on the podcast, but I'm pretty sure one of us, either myself or Cody, said this at some time. But I think we compared, some of your, I guess, gameplay to Aaron Rodgers, being able to throw at different angles and, fit the ball in different places. So that definitely makes sense. So, all right.
Yeah.
But moving forward, though, what are 2 to 3 qualities, in your opinion, that separate you from other quarterbacks, not only in the state, but in the country?
For sure. My leadership probably is number one. I mean, my freshman year, I was definitely kind of nervous on the field. I was, starting varsity, and I was having to take control of 17 and 18-year-old kids on the team that, would not want to listen to a 14-year-old kid on the field. So for me, that was kind of hard. But this sophomore year, I think I really kind of took a hold of that, and I think these guys kind of followed me. And for these guys, I mean, I have such great players on my team that, for them it's even hard to like listen to anybody, but they did a really good job this year and kind of followed me. My second is probably my grit. I mean, when stuff gets tough, I'm the first person to kind of get everybody motivated, I think, and kind of get them going again, and just keep persevering through whatever situation. And last, probably putting in the work in my own time, and especially with my teammates. I mean, they put in so much work in the off season as well, and it's easy for me to say, hey, can you guys meet me at Vista or whatever field at this time, and they're always showing up, as long as some of my coaches. So for me, I just think it's mainly the leadership and grit abilities. So.
All right, then. Well, those are all good things we want to hear, and I'm sure those are always great things that coaches and college coaches want to hear as well. And, that definitely goes a long way. Obviously, we released our Arden Walker interview. Well, I don't know when we're going to release this one, but we released it as of today. We released it on Friday, and we got to actually interview a bunch of those Cherry Creek boys. We have 4 or 5 of them on doc, actually. And, they all said the same thing. It's about working hard, being tough, and putting in those extra hours and holding everyone accountable, not just yourself. So that's always good to hear. But with all that being said, we're going to kind of talk about the future here. So, Cody, if you want to take it away.
Yeah. So, and like Simon said, we have plenty of advice from a bunch of 2-time state champs, at that 5A level, and they all said, like, we got together and worked out, and worked on our game. So that's a great thing to have. And I like that you talked more about, kind of stuff that you don't really get to see as much as far as like qualities that separate you from other quarterbacks. Because, we have a lot of guys who come on here and they talk about, I'm good at like this form or like this throw or this technique. So it was kind of refreshing even to hear kind of a different, not something that we can see in game kind of angle, because we already talked about that on the episode. Mm-hmm. So like to hear about that leadership and grit. And man, what a trifecta of quarterbacks to be looking up to. You can't get too much better than that, really, talking about the modern game. Lawrence, Brady, and Rodgers. So yeah. I bet your coaches are pretty stoked that those are your models as well. But
yeah.
Just kind of briefly talking a little bit about the future, we've seen your Twitter and your Instagram. You are a highly touted prospect as an underclassman. You have offers from all over the country already. I guess what are some things that have helped you navigate being so highly touted as an underclassman, and how have you balanced that with still having a couple of years of high school left?
I mean, for the offers part, I can't. I would not have any of those without my teammates. I know a couple other of my teammates, those guys are receiving some big looks too as well. So for me, not only does it help, me obviously, but like it really helps my team, and I'm glad I can help some of those guys hopefully have an experience at the next level. So me being so young is kind of hard because, I can't really make I could make a decision right now, but I think I'm just going to wait till probably next year or the year after. But right now I'm just, going day by day, working with my guys, and really just not even focusing on that right now, just focusing on football, our Vista Ridge team. So that's what's going on right now.
Hey, that's a good thing to keep in mind. And I guess just like how hard is that to kind of ignore and stay focused? Do you find it like kind of easy to like live in the moment, or like do you find yourself thinking about the future, just whenever it comes up?
Yeah, you only get one high school career, so for me, it's pretty easy just to like let it go and put it to the side for right now and just focus on, my team and my guys. So yeah, it's honestly not that hard just to like put those things aside, because honestly, it's not all about me, it's about my team right now. So.
Hey, that's great to hear, and we can get back to talking about the now. Actually, well, it's basically now. I guess, what is something that you are going to make a point of working on this off season?
Definitely my mobility. I'm definitely not the fastest guy. So I know my coaches wanted me to work on that as well. So right now I'm going to ground up. Shout out to those guys. Those guys are just probably the best. Training facility as far as getting you faster and more, having more agility as well. So I've been going to those guys right now, but I had basketball, so right now I'm not going to them as much. But for sure my mobility and pocket movement, as well as reading defenses. I know I was able to. I know a part in the podcast you guys said that like I was eliminating or just looking at one guy, but a part of our offense is what I do is I eliminate my progressions based on what the defense is doing. So like if I see one corner is like 10 yards back, I know that my guy on the outside is on the same page as me, going to run like a little 5-yard hitch to smooth the chains. So it's all about kind of just reading the defense and taking what the defense gives us. So that's a big part of our offense.
Hey, we appreciate you clarifying that. That's the whole reason that you're on this show, is to talk about, and kind of give your story behind things. So I appreciate you sharing that for sure.
Yeah.
And those are all great things to work on, especially that explosiveness. So looking forward to maybe a dual threat Brayden Dorman, who's going to tear people up with his legs. That'd be really exciting. So, well, and you talked about the ground up, I believe is what you said.
Yes,
working
sir.
on like explosiveness and speed. And that kind of perfectly segues into my next question here, as far as what are some resources that have helped you become such a good high school football player? You've talked about your teammates and doing that off-season stuff. You talked about ground up and your coaches a little bit. So I guess like how have they been so helpful? And then what are some other resources that have maybe helped out as well?
Man, I have so many people that have helped me out. It's going to be hard to name all of them, but obviously, Ground Up and Mike and Jordan over there. I love those guys, man. They really have a great attitude every time you're there. Tim Jenkins at Jenkins Elite and Coach Holland. I mean, I've been with those guys since day one, and I can't thank them enough for, just sticking with me and being there for me. They're honestly the best quarterback training company or whatever in the entire nation, I believe. I mean, they just do a tremendous job. I mean, my coaches at Vista, Coach Scully, Coach V, all those guys on our staff. I mean, they with recruiting as well, they've helped me out so much. I mean, it's going to be hard to repay them one day. My parents, obviously, they've helped me out with, money, time, and effort. That's something that's never repayable. And just my teammates as well. I mean, they believe in me. I believe in them. It's all going to be about, working together as a team this year. So I'm excited for these guys.
Hey, we appreciate all that insight. And, we've seen or covered quite a few Jenkins Elite quarterbacks throughout, our by the time this episode comes out, probably over 30 episodes. But
yeah.
So it's nice to get that insight and, get that inside opinion as far as how helpful they are. And, for someone who's still in the process, rather than a lot of quarterbacks that we've covered that are kind of coming out of the back end of the process, more or less. But
yeah.
Now that I've asked some questions about that, Simon, if you want to pick up the baton once again.
Yeah, for sure. So we're going to bring it back to this last season and kind of talk about this last season a little bit here. So I'm going to go ahead and bring up the schedule and then talk about these games and the scores, and then we'll have you react to some of that. So altogether for a COVID season, not bad. Y'all went 3-2, only played 5 games. So to be honest with you, really not the most that you could go off of, since it is a COVID year, COVID season and whatnot. And, prep is all over the place as well. So maybe not the most accurate, but just looking at what we got here, we have a very wide variety of wins and losses. So we start off with, I think this is, what is this? This is October 9th against Palmer. Y'all blew them out as you should, 66-12. I've covered their quarterback and running back, and so they got some guys, but that's a team that y'all should definitely have beaten. Then the next week you play a tougher team in Fountain Fort Carson. Y'all lost 61-28. Our boy Q Jones is on that team. We did an interview with him, and by the time this interview releases, hopefully that interview would have released and whatnot. But that's a tough one in general. They're a tough defensive team. They hung with Palmer Ridge for a really long time. So that's no slouch at all. But, 61-28, that's not as bad as some other teams they played at all. So, then y'all went on, and I believe, feel free to correct me here, but I believe y'all won in double overtime against Rampart 32-31, or was it just overtime?
Yeah, well, I think it was double over. Wait, no, it might have just been one overtime.
Okay.
It was a while ago, I don't remember, so.
Yeah, no, it's all good. Yeah, I figured, but 32-31, Rampart, that's a solid team led by Kale Cormani. We've covered him as well. We've done a breakdown of him, and so that's a grit win for sure right there, and that's something you love to see. Then that carries over to Mesa Ridge, kind of another game that y'all should have won, but y'all really, made a statement here, beating them 47-7. And then y'all lost to Pueblo South 35-28. Another pretty solid program. This program's probably one that has been a little bit more dominant in recent years, but this was a little bit more of a rebuilding season. But still, they're always going to be tough, though, just because that's who they are. They lost 35-28. And then I believe y'all barely missed out on the playoffs. Like I said, it's really only 5 games, so, there are definitely plenty of teams here that made the playoffs that probably shouldn't have. I'm kind of looking at Pine Creek right now, who made it with a losing record somehow, and then somehow you have Skyline up at Longmont, who went 4-1, or they might have went 3-2 like y'all and had a winning record but missed out on it. But all of that being said, first off, I want to ask you about that season. So In your opinion, how did you feel like this last season went? And, were there any, I guess, really key games that stood out to you?
For sure. We definitely could have done better. Obviously, I mean, we're such a young team. I mean, we obviously had some seniors, but right now we're just so young. A lot of our guys this year are juniors and sophomores going up a grade. So we're extremely young, and I'm really excited for our future. Um, I mean, we definitely should have done better. Um, but playing people like Q's a great athlete, great running back. I mean, he's such a cool dude as well. Kale as well, playing Rampart. Man, Kale's a really good friend of mine. I really respect him as well.
Hmm.
Playing guys like that's a lot of fun. And they have really good teams behind them. So it's kind of hard sometimes to compete with them, but it's also a lot of fun to compete with them. So, yeah.
Yeah, no, for sure. Alrighty then. So, with all that being said, how has this last season impacted your focus this off season? And, I guess what are some lessons that you learned from this last season here?
Yeah, well, first of all, COVID really, messed with not only us but like everybody. We weren't able to like hit the weight room like we wanted to and be able to practice as a team as much as we wanted to. We had to have like two separate groups to practice during the summer and like off season, and so it was really a tough situation. But now this year, with hopefully, I'm praying that COVID is going to be gone. Right now we're already in the weight room, so that's going to help us a lot. We got some big linemen that I'm really excited for. Bryce, Ahmed, Caleb, all those guys. I'm really excited for them. As well as my receivers and defense. I'm really excited for them to hit the weight room and be a bit stronger this year, as well as being able to hit the field. And just playing football and practicing that. So, when the season rolls around, we're bigger, faster, and stronger like we should be. And hopefully this year it goes a lot better than it did last year. So.
All right, then. That's what we love to hear. So, speaking of next season, how do you feel about this upcoming season here in the fall? And, I have to ask you this, but who do you think, other than y'all, is the team to beat? Like, who's that team that you feel like, all right, if we beat them, then, we got a good road to state or what have you?
I'm not really too worried about that. I'm just worried about each game. Uh, being on your path to state isn't really about beating one team.
Hmm.
So I'm just trying to take our season one game at a time. I'm very confident uh, with our schedule this season that we're going to be able to make it pretty far. And with my team, I know my guys love to compete, and I'm really excited for my guys. I'm really happy with the guys I got. So I'm ready for the season.
All right, that's what we love to hear. That's a very mature answer too, if I do say so myself. All right then. Well, this next season will be an interesting one for sure. Obviously, well, hopefully it will be the first regular one after COVID. So we'll have to
Yeah.
see about that. But just moving forward, there are a lot of teams here that are losing quite a bit of seniors. Obviously you're looking at Palmer Ridge, who lost a good amount of seniors, along with their head coach recently, Coach
Yeah.
Pulford over there. We wish him all the best and whatnot as well. But that's kind of a transition year. Fountain Fort Carson, they're always going to be tough, but they are losing their guy Q Jones and a couple other guys as well, which you got to take in account for. And then obviously you got Rampart, who are losing the quarterback, who's a 3-year starter. So it should be kind of wide open this year. I think we talked about it on the podcast. Y'all having a good shot at state and whatnot, but obviously it is important to take it one step at a time.
Mhm.
Alrighty then. So with that being said, what do you need, in your opinion, what do you need to do differently this year to take that next step forward and do a little bit better?
I just think continuously we need each practice just need to, be focused and not get off track and just, know that we as a team have a shot. So I'm really excited again for these guys, my team. I know my coaches are really excited as well. Hopefully, again, obviously we don't have COVID, messing with us, but I know my guys are really excited, and I'm excited for them as well. So.
For sure. All right, and then one of the last questions here as we kind of wind down, but lastly, what are some goals that you still have for high school ball? What are some things that you have your mind goal-wise?
Just to play it out. I mean, like I said earlier, you only have one high school career. So I'm just worried about, hopefully not getting hurt and just continuing to play my last 2 years here at Vista, and making a college decision here in the next year or so. But other than that, I'm really excited for my guys again. So.
All right, fair enough, man. Sounds good. Go ahead, Cody.
Thank you, Simon. So yeah, we're like Simon said, we're winding down, and you shouted out some people at the when I asked about the resources that you've had. So maybe this section's a little bit shorter, but we just wanted to give you either an extended chance, or I guess a more focused chance to say thank you or shout out anyone on the show who's been important to your academic or athletic career, and has helped keep you on track. And that could be family, friends, coaches, or fellow players, past, present, heading towards the future. So just wanted to give you some time to kind of address that, and then share any lasting quotes or impressions you have for our listeners.
Yeah, I just want to, thank my coaches, Coach Colin, Coach P. I mean, I can't do anything without them. Tim and Coach Holland at Jenkins Elite. I mean, there's no words to explain you guys' help to me. Mike and Jordan at Ground Up, again, I love those guys. They do a great job at what they do. My parents, obviously, my money, time, and effort, can't repay them with that. But some guys I'll like to shout out. Some of my guys on the team, you got BB Hills or Brandon Hills. And one of our best receivers on the team, we got Gavin Jenkins, who's also hurt with the torn ACL, and I'm really excited for him. I hope he's going to come back stronger this year. Keyshawn Dooley, Keyshawn Bridges, some of them are my guys, and Isaiah Garcia. Those are some of my receivers this year that I'm really excited for them. Obviously Justice and my linemen, Bryce, Ahmed, Caleb, all those guys. I'm really excited for you guys. Hopefully, this year, COVID doesn't mess us up again. But, I'm really excited for our team, and I love my guys, and I hope they feel the same way about me. So I'm really excited for the season.
Thank you so much for sharing, and, love hearing about, I don't think anyone has talked about, I guess, like the team as much as you have up until this point in our interview. So we appreciate you sharing and shouting them out, and, just emphasizing, at every single point. And I think that that's a good mentality for you to have heading into this offseason, is just how important it is to do everything as a team. And, that a lot of people take it for granted, just how much of a team sport is, how much football is a team sport. And, arguably like the most crucial team sport where, you really do need everybody to do their job to be successful. Mm-hmm. Whereas, some other sports, one person could take over a game. But in football, you need at least one other person to do their job, basically. So we appreciate you talking about that, and wish you nothing but the best heading forward. That does it for this episode of Playmakers Corner Interviews. I've been Cody Stauffer, joined here by Brayden Dorman, and we thank Brayden so much for coming onto the show. And obviously my other co-host, Simon, here. And, stay tuned for more interviews. Catch up on our older interviews. They're going to be out all over the place: YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Anchor. And follow us on social medias if you haven't already: Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok. And also follow Brayden Dorman on Twitter and Instagram as well. But thank y'all so much for joining us for this episode, and peace.